Nick, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Let's jump right on into it. So, as a leading voice on LGBTQ consumerism, can you tell us about the significance of the $3.7 trillion purchasing power of the LGBTQ plus community? That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. It's a lot of market. In terms of markets that are, minority powered markets, the LGBTQ market is the fastest growing minority market in America and around the world. And so people are really taking notice of us, which is fantastic. Organizations and corporations are also taking notice of us as well. And so as we are this growing market, our dollars are just as green. We are queer 365 days a year, is what I like to say. And so both in Pride Month and outside of Pride Month, there is a really big opportunity for corporations, organizations, large businesses to capture interest from us, to strut their stuff, and to really show that they have values that align with our values. And more than ever before, especially with younger consumers, consumers aren't just taking your advertisement or your company's statements at face value. They're going to do a little bit of digging. They're going to do a little bit of sleuthing on Twitter and stuff like that. And they want to find out, what you're really doing behind the scenes. And so companies really need to put their best foot forward, and they need to win us over by showing that they have the same values and ethics that we do.
Well, and kind of bouncing off that point, when we look at where this money is going, where is it? Do we have any data on exactly what parts of the economy? Is it entertainment? Is it food? Is it fashion? Like, where is this going?
Well, it's all across the spectrum in terms of when an LGBTQ influencer or an LGBTQ company is engaged. For whether it be a Pride Month campaign or from some sort of other campaign. That's one point that I like to make regarding rainbow washing. Rainbow washing referring, of course, to companies' tendencies to just slather rainbows on everything during Pride Month and then not be an ally for the rest of the year. And so as consumers have gotten more savvy to what's actually happening, there's some sort of anti-rainbow washing vitriol going on. Personally, I don't mind it if the companies or the corporations are going to allocate dollars to LGBTQ talent, but we want to see what's going on outside of that. And so rather than just, it really just like tokenizing us for lack of a better term, it's like, okay, it's June. We gotta allocate this money here. What we're actually looking for and what is more effective from a business perspective is to do some sort of campaign or to make some sort of investment or some sort of statement outside of the most saturated month of the year. And that's what's going to really win our attention. I'll just a super quick story, Aaron. A few years ago, Chubbies, which is a sportswear brand or, a leisure wear brand, they released a complete Pride drop in September in awareness of National Mental Health Month, and particularly, just talking about the rise in LGBTQ depression concerns, LGBTQ suicide concerns. So they did a donation-based campaign where all 100% of their profits went to the Trevor Project. But since that dropped in September, they had no competition at all. It wasn't all rainbow everything. They were able to really lead with a message about LGBTQ mental health. That's the kind of innovative, interesting advertising that LGBTQ consumers are looking for from companies to determine where we want to spend our dollars.
Now, when we look at other marginalized communities or minority communities, how does it fare up when we talk about the Black dollar, how that spends, and women spending and all that stuff? Does it fare about the same? Is it more? Is it less?
Well, I think that the biggest factor in the particular LGBTQ minority market is that market is expanding for two reasons. One is we just have better data. We're actually measuring it, right? Whereas, we up until even recently in the United States Census, we didn't have a lot of data about LGBTQ specific consumer patterns. So that's one big piece of the picture. And then the other piece of the picture that we have is that particularly for millennials and for Generation Z, which is the generation born after 1997, we see much higher indicators, self-reporting of identifying as a part of the LGBTQ community. I love this analogy that's been floating around on socials lately, comparing it to the destigmatization of left-handed people in the early 20th century, right? You were completely strange. Something was wrong with you if you were left-handed. And then
As a left-handed, I
yes,
understand. I'm
lefty
left.
love. Yes, me too. Yes. And so As soon as the appropriate science came out that destigmatized that, you saw in year over year reporting like this massive uptick in people being willing to admit in surveys that they were left-handed. And so I think that something similar is happening in terms of the destigmatization efforts that have happened, particularly for LGBTQ people in the last 10 years, as we see in this census data and as we see in Gallup data. In the most recent Gallup data, 1 in 6 Gen Z consumers identify as LGBTQ. That is a really massive uptick. It's actually swinging the overall indication past 7%. Over 7% of Americans identify as LGBTQ. So as we have more people that are just more comfortably identifying as part of the LGBTQ community, that also creates this interest in purchasing from brands that are going to be more aligned. And speaking specifically to the black dollar, I think we also saw this happen a few years ago with Colin Kaepernick. And what happened with his experience in the NFL, and sort of particularly what Nike did with that campaign, and standing behind a person or standing behind someone with a particular line in the sand regarding values and ethics, and people jumped up and down, people protested, which is now happening all the time now. How dare you stand behind this person and their values? And that turned out to be one of the most lucrative and profitable decisions that Nike has made in the last several years. We see consumers, both LGBTQ and non-LGBTQ, being really interested in what a company is doing, what a company stands for, before deciding to purchase from a company, especially if it's a company that they're going to purchase from for years to come. They want to make sure that they feel aligned, that they they feel politically aligned, they feel aligned from a values and ethics perspective. And so it's something that it's not just about capturing the LGBTQ market. I think there's also just a general uptick in consumer interest in knowing what a brand stands for and appreciating that a brand will actually put itself out there, stand for something rather than stand for nothing and fall for anything.
I appreciate those points that you made there. So now that we know how much money is being spent, these trillions of dollars, we know that people want to spend money at places with businesses and things that, like you said, align with what they believe. So what's next? How can these companies either do better or continue to do well?
I think one of the biggest pieces is that effort from the communications department, like just putting really clearly on the website, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe in, this is what we stand behind. We're seeing an uptick of interest in that, whether it be a DE&I page, just right there on the website, whether it be some sort of just very clear statement on social media or something like that, in terms of what a brand stands for, what a brand stands behind. We're really seeing much more interest in that. I think also it's just keeping in mind what LGBTQ people are currently going through, and even to the umbrella term LGBTQ, I don't think accurately captures what different segments of the LGBTQ community are going through right now, right? What I'm going through as a white cisgender man is quite different than what someone who is a transgender or non-binary is going through with regard to all of this anti-trans legislation that we see flowing around the country right now. And so that creates an opportunity beyond this sort of rainbow washing thing that we want brands and companies to get away from. We want to see them stand in support of particular issues that are impacting queer people now, that are present day. It's great that if you want to do something for LGBTQ History Month and you want to talk about Stonewall again, knock yourself out, happy to do that. But then let's also see some sort of indication or some sort of messaging about what's going on regarding the issues of today, because those are the things that are going to really make an impact. Also, those are the things that are, it's just the real authentic conversation. You're going to lose some people when you put yourself out there as a brand, but the people who are aligned with you, the consumers that are aligned with your company, that's when they're going to become fans. That's when they're going to start telling 10 friends about your company. That's when they're going to start sharing your messaging and things like that. And so we do see that it balances out. I think, again, I brought it up before, but Colin Kaepernick and Nike is a great example. That was almost kind of a blueprint for many businesses from a marketing and advertising perspective, that people are going to be mad at you when you make a statement that's aligned with your values and ethics. And it's because everyone's values and ethics are inherently different. But if you do that, not only is that going to be helping to win over this pink dollar that is rapidly expanding in size, but you're probably going to win over general consumers as well with your authenticity.